Let's record.
All righty. And what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to episode 151, the Designated Players Podcast. My name is Andrew. I'm joined here with Connor, and we are here to bring you Western Conference quarter season roundup. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 150 is out. We're posting clips. People are watching it. We got to make the Western Conference even better, my guy.
It's going to be a tough ask, but I think we could do it.
I think you can too. So, um, if you guys don't know what we're doing, first off, it's because you probably aren't following us on social media. So go do that: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and anywhere you get your podcasts. So you know that when we put things up, you can go watch them. But we're just going through each team and talking about their first 8 or so games through the league. We're going to give you your top player, most impressive, least impressive player, if the team is over or underachieving, and then one big question from the Cone Man himself that I will answer perfectly, and we will move on.
Cool.
Let's try and keep this under 2 hours there, my friend.
And listen, last one was under 2 hours too. So that's a,
Barely,
that's a low bar.
barely.
All right. Well, why don't you kick us off then with Scarf of the Week so we can get things moving?
Wow, look at you.
Well, some people actually remember the correct segments for the show.
Well, you were the one who's supposed to be in charge, so you were
Yeah, but
supposed to
you're in
remind
charge
me.
of the intro. I'm just in charge of leading the actual discussion, the meat and the potatoes. You're just
This,
in charge of the drink, the water.
I hear a whole bunch of excuses.
Just show me your scarf.
Say please.
No.
Um, to keep on theme as we do, we pulled off the LAFC scarf. I haven't worn this one in a little bit. I don't think so. Um, just breaking it out, and I was very close to picking the one you're wearing, but I decided I knew you only had like three, so I picked one I knew you did.
Well, I picked the scarf of the team that's actually in first place right now. It's ugly. I'm trying to find the logo.
Exactly. That's why I hate that scarf.
It's in here. There it is. Seattle 2019 champions. Yep.
I just don't like how small it is. You could have put that so much bigger. You could have stitched it in instead of put on an iron-on patch. I mean, there's so much I could have done
It's
better with
it's an
that.
MLS Cup scarf featuring Seattle. It's not a Seattle scarf featuring MLS Cup.
That's a great way to put that. I think I rated it at like a 4 out of 10 on my radar scarves.
Honestly, I think that's generous. I think a 4 out of 10 is generous. This is an ugly scarf.
Well, while I go look up exactly what I gave it, why don't you give the hint for our first team?
Well, I can't remember if you mentioned exactly. Oh no, you said what we'll go through. So hint for the first team. Easy hint for you here. Start off with a nice little layup. Your hint is fight and win.
SKC.
SKC?
Yeah,
No,
I
not
know it's
SKC.
Seattle.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I
Okay,
know.
buddy. Uh-huh.
Oh,
All
stop.
right. Let's start off with Seattle. Fittingly, we are starting off at the top of the Western Conference with Seattle being 5-1-1. Top player for me, pretty easy choice in my opinion. How about some Jordan Morris love? Guy can't stop scoring goals this season.
Is this where you ask me who I had?
That's why there was silence.
I've never done this before.
Yeah. Do you
And
have
you will
amnesia?
you will actually be shocked to know that Jordan Morris is mine as well.
That's fantastic news. You know who's crying right now?
The Euro
The
snobs.
Euro snobs. They are absolutely crying. 8 goals so far for Jordan Morris. He has been tearing it up. It's great to see. It feels like we're finally seeing healthy Jordan Morris again. Um, anyway, most impressive player. This could be somewhat of a tough one. Seattle have had a very good season so far. There can definitely be a few options, but I think there's one guy kind of leading the charge on this one. I would wager a pretty safe bet that he is on your list for most improved.
Most improved or most impressive?
You know what I mean. Most
I, d-
impressive.
I don't. I think you
No, you
should.
know what I mean. Most impressive.
Why don't you explain it to me? Like I'm 5. Um, I can bet you he's not actually.
Wow. Can you tell me?
Oh, is that how we're doing this?
Yes, I
All right,
would.
I'm just blown away by the fact that I actually gave that scarf a 6 out of 10. I don't know what I was
You
on
gave
that
it a
day.
6. You're just trying not to piss off Seattle fans. Is
It
that what
had
it
to have
was?
been. With Jordan Morris leading the Golden Boot race, like at the rate that he had been scoring when we were making this list, he is also my most impressive player.
Okay, that's not what I was
Because
expecting.
if it was one of those things where, he has like 3 goals, 2 assists, like he's having a good year, then I switch it. But the fact that he's blown up the way he has at the start of the season, it's extremely impressive for me. I mean, there are a lot of people who can fit in otherwise, but yeah, he's having a great day.
I can't deny that one too much. I mean, obviously Jordan Morris is balling out, but for me, Jordan Morris has always been one of the better players in Major League Soccer. Not to this level. I don't think we expect him to be
I
scoring
know who
goals.
you're going for.
Yes, I'm going for what I thought was going to be the obvious one here, but I've gone for Jackson Reagan on this one.
Yep.
Yeah, he slid right into that center back spot, knocked Arriaga out of there. Although I am checking to make sure that Arriaga hasn't been hurt, but I don't believe he has. And he's made it his own. I mean, he's part of the back line that's top of MLS right now. So I think he's played really well. He's come in, not really any speed bumps or anything. And he's just continuing the Seattle pipeline of youngsters that come through and excel with this first team.
Yeah, no, agreed. Like I said, I think he was one to watch. I think that's something that I pointed out because I'm brilliant, of course, but I knew that he was going to get a ton of minutes, and that is something that uh, I didn't expect him to be at the level he is. Let me put it that way. I expected him to be decent, be good, but not that level. So I agree.
Yeah, I don't want to give you too much props because I think your head would explode. But yes, you did rightfully call that Jackson Reagan. This would be Jackson Reagan season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on that topic, I just mentioned him before, but my least impressive player, I've gone for Xavier Arriaga. And it's tough to find a least impressive player for a team that's performing as well as Seattle. But considering he was center back partner with Yamar for at least a season, maybe two, I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember exactly how many seasons, but he's been knocked out. Checked checked transfer market. Doesn't look like he's been injured because he's been on the bench for these other games, but has 37 minutes played so far this season. So definitely a drop off there. Knocked out of that starting rotation spot by Jackson Reagan. So I would say not that he's necessarily a bad player, but I just think from what we expect from him typically over the last couple seasons, definitely a step down from him.
Yeah, for me, it's Raul Ruidiaz, right? This was, I think, the year that we thought he was going to come back and be the guy, and he not chose, but he hasn't really gotten to break through. Granted, that's because they're now playing Jordan Morris more as a striker than a wide player. Um, but he just hasn't had the impact that I think many of us thought he would have. And again, it's top of the West. Like how are you going to find somebody who's been not impressive, right? But if we had to pick somebody who has been underperforming, I think Rui Diaz fits that bill.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Honestly, I thought he was out with injury, but he's got 5 matches played so far. So even if he
Yeah,
was, it was maybe 2 games that he missed.
yeah. I mean, he had one start, 4 off the bench, but um,
Yep.
yeah,
I have no doubt this guy can jump right back in though and score goals again. I mean, this guy's a great goal scorer. I just think with how Jordan Morris is scoring goals at the moment, you can't swap that out.
right. Yeah, I mean, who who would be dumb enough to do that, right? Not Brian Schmetzer, best coach in MLS history? Question mark. That's
Oh,
another. That's an episode for another day.
yes, it is. Absolutely. All right, let's not make this 2 hours. Overachieving, underachieving. Let me find my list for predictions. I had Seattle fifth, so definitely overachieving what I was expecting for them. I expected a rebound from last season. This team was too good to finish out of the playoffs again, especially with the expanded playoffs, but was not expecting them to play as well as they have. not that this should be too surprising. I mean, if you look at this team on paper, this is a really talented team. This is where they should be performing. But based on how poor they were in the league last year, I wanted to kind of, I guess, play it a little safer and not jump right back to like top spot in the West. But they have been very impressive, overachieving what I had thought for them.
I am waiting for the TikTok to roll so I can pause it on my predictions because I don't have the desire to go find it in my list. I have them at neither. I think I put them relatively high. That being said, let's see here. I'm looking at it. We messed up the St. Louis, messed up Minnesota.
Still early. Still early.
Yeah. Oh, I also had Seattle at 5. So I guess they are definitely overachieving based off of what I thought of them. But I'd say they're probably, performing. I think they're performing at the level I expected, but in terms of where I predicted them, they are overachieving. Yep.
Cool. All right. Question for you. Are they the favorites for Supporter Shield even over LAFC and FCC?
Yes. I think that they've got all the pieces to do it. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, I think that it's one last chance, right? Now or never type of thing. So I think they're going to go full send. They've got a really good balance of experience and youth that they can rotate in and out. I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Can't really argue with that one too much. I think they're definitely a favorite over FCC, especially with the rumor about Brenner leaving. If he's gone, FCC are not, in my opinion, they're not competing for Supporter Shield. Still definitely going to be one of the better teams in the East, but not for Supporter Shield. LAFC is a tough one. The LAFC team is really good. I'd like to say I'd give the edge to Seattle just for the fact that they don't have to deal with CCL, but CCL is almost over. So there's only so much more time LAFC could potentially be impacted by that. And so far, they've been keeping the pace. I mean, if they win their game in hand, they're top of the West. So LAFC just continue to win and continue to be successful. It's hard to put Seattle as a favorite over LAFC. I'm gonna just to be different. I'm gonna give LAFC the slight edge over Seattle at the moment.
So here's what I'll say, and we won't make it too long because, like we said, we got a lot to do. I do not see anybody in Seattle's team that's making this big of an impact leaving midway through the year. Denny Bouanga's gone as soon as that window opens up. Has to be.
You think in the summer window?
Yeah.
You think they would like sell him like gone or like sell him and keep him on loan for the rest of the season?
No, sell him gone. If there's a team that's looking for players, they're not going to sell him and send him back. This isn't a Gaga Slanina. We don't need you.
It's not like an 18-year-old. Like
right. This dude's performing better than anybody could have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
So no shot. Do I think he sticks around? And because of that, as well as they still have Champions League to worry about, they still have all these different things that they're thinking of. I still think Seattle only has to focus on one thing and one thing only, and they're going to do it very, very well. Next.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, if Buang is gone, I 100% agree with you. But as long as Buang is here and he's scoring goals as he has been, hard to bet against him. All right, your hint for the next team is that they are allergic to keeping good players.
Oh, is that Vancouver?
It is Vancouver.
I love it.
Vancouver is, sorry, hold on. Currently sitting 8th in the West at 2-3-2. Top player for me, this one has a special place in my heart. Julian Gressel.
Wrong.
The man who plays every position. He's got 1 goal and 4 assists so far. I think they've been primarily playing him as a midfielder as opposed to a wingback. But regardless, he has been pulling the strings for them. While Ryan Gauld, surprisingly, has been off the score sheet in terms of goals and assists. So Gressel has been stepping up in that gap for him. And I think he's been a super important player.
Can you put some respect on Brian White's name, please? Because I don't like this slander. I
agree. That your pick?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stop it.
I thought you were legitimate.
Julian Gressel, of course, is number one. Fantastic year. Really helping my fantasy team all around. Just
that's the important thing, right?
Yeah. Because I'm on a roll to catch Connor. I don't know if anybody knew that, but We're all aboard the Catch Connor
That's true, but not after today. Today we are we're gonna expand that lead a little bit.
train. Talk to me
All
about
right,
your most
how
impressive player.
would you say?
I said, talk to me about your most impressive player.
My most first of all, I'm leading this, so I get to decide who talks, but I will humor you and say that my most impressive player, and I apologize, I'm definitely about to butcher the name, Simon Becker. I don't know if
I had Bichère, but yeah,
Bichère sounds right, but he's also
sounds
listed
French,
as
doesn't it?
American and not Canadian, so maybe it is like
Becker,
Becker. I don't
Becher.
know. I like Becker. I'm gonna go with Becker until I figure out what it is. Maybe I'll find out today. But he has he's 23 years old, starting to get game time for them. I think most of these goals and assists, if not all of them, are from one game. But he has 3 goals and 1 assist so far this season in 176 minutes. That is a great return for how much game time he's gotten so far. I can definitely see him being successful and rivaling Brighton White for that starting striker spot. Maybe they play them together. I'm not totally sure, but he's burst onto the scene here for Vancouver. So I can only imagine he will be gone by the summer window.
I don't know if he's gone by the summer window, but I agree that he has had a breakout year. Um,
Yes, hence why Vancouver will sell him.
I, I guess sticking on theme, yeah, you might not be wrong, but no, he's done very, very well. You're right. They all came from one game, right? We know he blew up against the red carded CF Montreal. Wow. Right. But they're like, even in the games that he didn't score, that he brought something that looked really good. There was a part of him that looked like, oh, this guy's definitely got something about him. So one to keep an eye on for sure. Very impressive at the start of the year. Um, However, flip side of that, he shouldn't even be playing because their least impressive player has not performed in the slightest yet. Do you know who that is?
Who is it?
Sergio Cordova. Pay all this money to go find the discovery rights or the trade rights or whatever rights they had to go buy from RSL to get him. And he's got nothing. I don't even know if he has a goal yet. Let me look this up really quick. I should pause that. Vancouver. Why do you sell good players?
They have
Yeah,
to
he's paid
maintain mediocrity.
136 minutes, 0 goals, 0 assists. He can't even get in over Bichère. So definitely not what I expected out of him. And I think he might be coming off an injury or something, but still just kind of feels meh.
I mean, at this point, even if he is coming off injury, I don't know how he's getting back into this team. I mean, even Brian White's not playing too poorly right now either. So
Dude,
he's got
Brian
to be
White's
looking at
goat,
striker 3 at the moment.
which is a lot of money to put on striker 3 in this.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to bench the guy that's in form?
No, but
Yeah, exactly.
he's gone at that point. Anyways, who's yours?
There's a couple names here that I feel like I could potentially go with. Uh I went with Christian Dahome
Okay.
mainly because he's got almost 300 minutes. He was one of their top players last year in terms of at least being involved in goals and assists. He had maybe not last year. Last year he only had 2 goals, 4 assists. The year before that he had 10 goals, 4 assists, 14 goal contributions. This year he's blanked completely, 0 across the board. I just expected a bit better from him. I maybe would have went with Daibar Caicedo as well because I know he had a big price tag, but he was hurt at the start. So
Yeah.
just to kind of be a bit fair there. But Dahome's played pretty much every game. I mean, he's had a couple of sub appearances, but he started what looks to be at least 4 games and just doesn't seem like he's really been involved much. I just expected more from him. I know I figure he's a quality attacking player for them. So
Yeah, I think a couple of them on that list probably could stand out. I mean, Veselinovic is on kind of towards the bottom. Alessandro Schoff is down towards the bottom. But here's the thing: this is a this is a Vancouver team punching well above their weight. Sorry to spoil the next segment there because I genuinely didn't mean to on that one. Um, I mean, you're used to seeing a bunch of players from Vancouver in the 6.0, 5.9 sort of range in who scored, and all of their main players are up at 6.6, 6.7, 6.8. I mean, that's just not something you expect out of Vancouver. So again, they're having a good year, definitely punching above the weight, I would say.
Yeah, I have them as overachieving as well, mainly because I predicted them 12th. They're sitting in eighth right now. I would imagine it's tight. Obviously, it's still early in the season, so I'm sure 12th is not very far away. It's only 4 points away.
I would say they got a game away from it.
Yeah, it's tight. They could definitely still fall to that range, but I would agree. I think they've been playing a bit better than what most people were expecting of them. And I would definitely say they've been playing better defensively than I thought they would, even in the attack as well. They have 11, but I think a lot of that is from that Montreal game where they scored five. So I think that's covering a lot of their goals, but only seven conceded so far in 7 games. It's not like the best record. I mean, obviously, there's better defensive teams like Nashville, but for what I expected from this team, they've been better defensively than I thought they would be. I still think there is room for this team to improve and maybe balance out them falling off a bit defensively because Ryan Gauld hasn't been typical Ryan Gauld for Vancouver. And all those attackers that we were just listing off, we know that they can do it in this league. Dejome and Sergio Cordova, Daibar Caicedo, these guys start hitting the ground like we know that they can. And Vancouver could have a lot of attacking players that are good. It's
Oh
just a
yeah,
question of will they.
correct. Yeah, there's potential in this team for sure.
Cool. All right, my question for you. Sorry, it's a bit of a boring one, but is this a legit playoff team? And I'll specify when I say playoff team, I'll say top seven, so non-play-in game. Can they get to top seven?
Yeah, yeah, easy. I think San Jose punching above their weight. Houston definitely punching above their weight. Minnesota having a great year. I don't know if they fall off or not. If Reynoso, I think the most Minnesota thing in this team could do is bring Reynoso back after whatever's happening with him, and then just fall out. Um, so those three right there, I think they can go catch no problem. Like I said, I think it's going to be health, and I think it's going to be play style. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see him up there.
Okay. I think they are. I genuinely think that they're probably around where I think they'll finish. Like kind of maybe just scraping into that uh playoff spot rather than a play-in spot. But I think they'll finish more likely in a play-in spot. But who knows? All it takes is one player to get hot and carry this team a bit, and that can carry them right to a playoff spot. So,
And that's why we love this league.
yep, unpredictable for sure. Okay, so your hint for the next team, unusual leading scorer.
I had time to look all this up too, and I didn't do it.
Yeah, nice
um,
one.
all right, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm going to think, man, I wonder who this could be. I
Uh-huh.
don't
While you
know.
Google,
While
huh?
I take a quick look, and I think, ooh, is it Houston?
It's not.
Is
Sorry. It is RSL.
what?
Justin Glad is their leading scorer.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in the Golden Boot race. Amina
Oh
Bassi
no.
for Houston is third in the Golden Boot race right now
That's
with
criminal.
with 4 pens.
Yeah, it's criminal.
Fantastic.
We are talking to RSL. We will get to Houston at some point, but right now it's RSL time. They are 2 wins, 0 draws, 4 losses, and 11th in the West. Picking a top player for this team is not an easy task, I'll be honest with you. But I have gone with Jefferson Savarino. He's got 1 goal, 1 assist so far this season. He is one of their highest. I think he actually is the highest rated player across both of the rating sites that I take a look at. So I just went with him.
Um, alluding to your hint, mine was Justin Glad because if you can be the top goal scorer at the center back position, then heck yeah, you are you're one of my best.
I mean, he has also conceded 14 goals this season, but I guess we'll glance past that. He is now a striker, Justin Glad. All right. Like I said, 11th place, not going to be an easy task for this next one either, but who is your most impressive player for them so far?
I've got Lawfulsend. Again, just kind of building on what he did last year, but carrying it into this year. Like you see a lot of rookies who will have a good, by all measures of a rookie season, and then just disappear into nothingness. Um, but 4 starts, 1 sub appearance, and according to WhoScored.com, the greatest stat website of all time, uh, third highest rated player. So, um, doing the dirty work in between, not scoring goals, not making assists, not setting people up, but good defensive work rate out of this guy. Um, Second most tackles per game for the team. He is 7th in interceptions. He does not concede very many fouls at all, as well as where'd you go? There he is. 1 clearance a game as well. So he's all over the place defensively. And again, for somebody coming out of their proper rookie season, good on him.
Okay. Can't disagree with you there.
You never can, by the way. You say that every time I say something.
Well, maybe pick something more out of the box. You pick the safe bets every time. Going based off of your lovely who scored, I've gone for the second best player rated on their team, Brian Ojeda.
Ew.
He is 22 years old, very young. Came over from Nottingham Forest, had about 350 minutes of game time last year. So now it seems like he's finally getting a full season under his belt. Played 340 minutes so far and is one of their highest rated players across both SofaScore and Who Scored. So yeah, I would imagine, I don't watch RSL week in, week out because I have better things to do with my life. But I would imagine he's been a great player in the midfield for them, similar to Lawfulson. So I think I mainly went for him considering his age, considering how young he is, and he's, come in and not really had too many speed bumps so far. So
Yeah, like I said, I was very interested to see how he would transition into this league. Nottingham Forest is quite the jump from where we are today. So very interested in that jump, and I think he's done very well. Again, another guy who's up there in terms of the defensive stats. I mean, you look with 1.2 tackles a game, leading the team in interceptions with Justin Glad, and then same amount of clearances as well as our friend Jasper Loffelson. So yeah, definitely agree with you there.
cool. Maybe we'll be in agreement on the least impressive player as well. I'll do mine first. I've gone for Andrew Brody.
Way.
Considering this team oh, I guess that means you will also have Andrew Brody. Well, considering that this team has conceded 14 goals so far this season, most in the Western Conference, I had to go for a defender here. And when I looked at FBref's comparison, they call it their scouting report for the 2023 MLS season compared to other fullbacks, he ranked pretty poorly in majority of the defensive stats. The only one he was ranked decently in was blocks with 63rd percentile. But tackles, interceptions, clearances, aerials won all like 33% or below. So it looks like he hasn't had a strong season. He's got a lot of the minutes. So a lot of those 14 goals conceded, he's on the field for, even if they're not directly his fault. So I went for him. He was also pretty low rated on both of the sites as well. So
Yeah, I mean the big thing that stood out for me is how much we hyped him up as, the replacement for Aaron Herrera, and he's just been bang average, hasn't he? 4-0 to again, the big ones that they lost to St. Louis, which was some bad stuff, and then Columbus, who were firing on all cylinders that day. But I feel like one of them they were down a man, weren't they?
Doesn't look like it.
No, wow. Um, again, not great, right? But um, also not super thrilled with how he's come on and what we expected of him. So definitely underwhelming in that sense.
Yeah, agreed. So now for overachieving, underachieving, I had RSL in ninth, currently in 11th. So for me, slightly underachieving, but generally right where I expected them to be. I mean, I don't love the shape up of this team, to be honest. I haven't for like a few seasons now, and somehow every season they always overachieve what I expect for them. I almost kind of feel like we're finally starting to see the real RSL roster that I'm sure a few of us have been expecting for the last couple seasons. So I'm not so sure that they can get up to that ninth place spot.
I had him at eight. Again, underachieving. I think they can. I just don't know if it's gonna happen. I think that they can sneak in, but it's not gonna be like they're in four, five, six, seven, eight all season. I think they're gonna stay around here and then make that push. Um, again, this team has not scored a lot of goals. They've conceded that, but the good thing about stuff like that is you can fix it. That stuff is tangible. You can figure out why that's gone wrong. I believe that they have the players that is required to make eighth or ninth into the playoffs, make that play-in game. But yeah, definitely underachieving for what we expected out of them at the beginning.
Okay. Glad we're in agreement. Question for you. Is RSL's lack of spending finally catching up to them?
Probably, right? I mean, you're gonna want at least one more forward attacker. I'm looking at this team now, right? You go in the summer window and you bring in someone like Cucho Hernandez, then you're fine. But I would agree with you that their their approach to this, you know, Moneyball esque, style of play is going to hurt them eventually, and then you're relying on guys like, well, I don't know, has he been playing?
He's got 340 minutes.
Oh wow, so he's been all over the place.
I think he's got uh let me see. Maybe three starts,
He's got 4 starts, 1 assist. I got it
four starts.
here. Yeah.
Yep.
So, underperformance from players that they expected more out of, which fine. But somebody else needs to step up then. And if they're not going to do it, right, you need somebody to score the goals. And I think for so long you relied on Damir Kreilach. Now he's just another, one of a few. You're going to have to figure it out a different way. And that might mean spending money. But yeah, as of right now, that's probably part of what's hurting them.
Yeah, I mean this team for the last two seasons has made the playoffs. Um, and that's been without the play-in. So they've made it just outright top seven in the Western Conference. Granted, they scraped in both times, but I just and both I feel like both times, I don't know if you're in agreement, but I was definitely down on how this team looked. I mean, I'm looking at the roster now and I can't wrap my head around how this team continues to like be in playoff hunts because this team just you look at this team, then you look at an LAFC, a Seattle, and you're like, how does this team compete? How is this team making the playoffs with these other teams? Um, and I feel like the lack of spending and the lack of getting, you know, you don't have to go find a Barco type player and spend 15 million, but you could spend a little bit more than RSL have been spending. I feel like they barely spend anything. And I feel like it's finally catching up to them.
It's almost like the MLS Cup playoffs aren't a real determination of ability. Wow.
They are
Oh,
until Atlanta
I
wins
got to
Supporter
backpedal. I got
Shield.
to backpedal. Oh no.
They it is a determination until Atlanta wins Supporter Shield.
Yeah, there you go. That's the answer I needed to hear.
Yes.
It
And
only
then
matters because it's the only thing I have over anybody else.
Yes, exactly. And once Atlanta wins Supporter
Bum.
Shield one day, then Supporter Shield will be more important.
Yeah, you bum. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Indeed. Next up, it's a land full of fake players.
My boys in Dallas,
It is
Paul
FC
Ariola,
the
Jesus
last
Ferreira,
time.
Nikosi, and then nobody else.
A bunch of random players that they pull off the street, I swear. Dallas are sitting at 3-2-2, fourth place in the Western Conference. Top player for me, kind of an easy one. Granted, there's a couple good players, but I've gone for Jesus Ferreira. If not, just to piss off the Euro snobs. Uh,
Way.
4 goals this season in 609 minutes. He's continuing to play well for Dallas season after season at this point. Top goal scorer, I would imagine, will be top goal scorer by the end of the season as long as he's staying healthy.
Yeah, it's mine as well. You know, you're tucking goals away. You're playing very well. Um, it's just one of those things that people are going to have to understand that you can't just keep him out because he's not scoring goals in, you know, Europe. Because guess what? All the players that you're asking to bring in, they're not scoring goals in Europe either. When the last time Christian Pulisic scored a goal, right? When's the last time? I mean, Gio Reyna scored today. Who are the other ones? When's the last time Josh Sargent scored a goal, right?
I I want to go on a quick tangent here because I was looking at this
We need
weekend.
to be careful with this because this can get very out of hand.
I
So I'm
know,
gonna
I
let
know,
you
I know,
go.
I know. But I was looking at it this weekend. Jesus Ferreira's USMNT record versus Josh Sargent, because we know the Euro snobs love Josh Sargent. They are obsessed with him. Josh Sargent, I think, had, let me pull this up so I have it correct. Find the national team really quick. Josh Sargent has 2 goals and 1 assist in about 900 minutes for the USMNT. For at least all the games that FBref has been able to pick up. Jesus Ferreira, I believe, and I'll check his too because I want to have it correct, has played like 200 less minutes than Sargent, and I think had 3 goals, 3 assists.
Really wants
Let me
to
find
compare
the national
thoughts on.
team. I know, Grace. Tell
Tell
them
him,
off.
Grace. Tell the Euro snob what you know.
Yeah, Ferreira's got 3 goals, 3 assists in about 650 minutes. So I can't wrap my head around why they are so down against Jesus Ferreira, but they love Josh Sargent because he scores 10 goals in the championship.
It's silly. It's very silly, but it's because, and it's like the video that or the thread that I sent you. Like they just hate him because he plays here.
Mm-hmm.
If he had the same goal scoring record as Josh Sargent and another guy like Jordan Morris came in, they'd be screaming for Ferreira over Jordan Morris. It's just silly.
Yeah, Ferreira was playing for some Belgian team. They'd be clamoring for him to be in there.
Yep.
Anyway, we did good to not go too off track there.
Yeah. That's another episode. We'll do that again.
Yes, absolutely. Most impressive player for me, I've gone with Paxton Pomykal.
Okay.
I think he's had a good season so far. Hasn't gotten a lot in the goals and assists. He's just got, I think, 1 assist so far. But from what it looks like ratings wise, I mean, he's top. He's one of the top guys across both. I think he's fourth on both sites. So he's really been getting involved, even if he's not necessarily the guy that is like the last part of the attack, like scoring the goals, getting the assist. But it seems he's been a pretty important part of this team. I want to say, hold on one sec. I want to pull up the scouting report FBref had. Yeah, he's got a lot of like good percentiles for midfielders comparatively in the league so far. Like he's 88th percentile in XAG and 70th percentile shot creating actions. Like he's doing a lot without being big in the goals and assists box score.
He's got what we call, oh gosh, what's the word for it? The underlying stats, the underlying numbers tell us that he's doing well, which is true, right? And I think it's important to always note that because center mids never get the love, right? It's goals and assists for the attackers, it's tackles won for the defenders, and then you got those midfielders that do the dirty work that nobody loves. So like that. I'm going with Nkosi. Nkosi is somebody that I actually highlighted I watched an FC Dallas had the early game one week, and I watched specifically, and his ability to hit the line breaking pass has been phenomenal. A lot of their attacks start when the ball's at his feet. He picks up his head and he hits a pass either over the top to stretch that back line or to play into the feet of Ferreira checking back or whoever. But he's really taken on a good role of being one of the key attackers in this team, and very impressed with his start to this year.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Of course.
Least impressive for me, I've gone with Emma Tumasi.
Okay.
Again, this is kind of a tough team to pick out someone as a truly least impressive player, but considering Tumasi was one of the lower ranked players on both sites, like 15th and lower on either one, and had over 350 minutes played, just kind of tells me that he's just not really doing much when he's out on the field, but he's getting the game time. I just think we could expect more from him. I don't think he's a game changing type player. I don't think he's one of the best fullbacks in the league when he's at his best, but I still think he's better than he's been playing.
Yeah, along the same lines, my least impressive player is Hader O'Brien. You know, one of those guys who had a really good start in Dallas, and I think was, if I remember correct, may not be correct, but I'm pretty sure relatively recently he was a top guy, like maybe 2021. Yeah, 9 goals, 3 assists for him in 2021, and he can't even get on the field in 2023. So, again, there are better players around him. That he's been knocked down a little bit, and that's what happens in football. But definitely underachieving, or yeah, underachieving for me in terms of what he could.
Yep. Cool. In terms of overachieving, underachieving, I had Dallas fourth. They are currently fourth. So just about right for me. I mean, I definitely see Dallas finishing around here at the end of the season. They're definitely a top Western Conference team, but not. I would say they're still probably a small step behind the top, like the Seattle LAFC.
Yep, I had him at neither as well. I had him at third. They're in fourth. They're right where they're supposed to be.
Cool. Question. Is it hard for homegrowns to break through into the first team now? I'm looking at who's mainly been getting the minutes for Dallas this season, and it's not really, you don't see like Ricardo Pepe's getting minutes really with the first team anymore. Do you think it's tough for them to get through now?
I think they just ran. I think just ran out. They put so many up in such a short time. So, I mean, same thing with Red Bull to a degree, right? But um, I think that unlike Red Bull, they've kind of also prioritized success, right? So not only are they trying to work in homegrown players or drafted players, but they're also looking like, okay, how can we turn this into a team that will also win? Because at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to put their players through. They're going to get their next big star coming through, whatever. But this team needs to win. They understand that. So I think they found a balance, which when you do find that balance, it's always going to make it difficult for players to get in. Um, yeah, I just think that it's not so much like the homegrowns have dried out. I think they've just found a good balance and they're sticking to it.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one then. Chose it. All right, your hint for the next team is documentary.
Documentary. Is that
Mm-hmm.
LAFC?
It is. It's
Listen,
LAFC.
that was niche, man. I didn't.
Listen, I can't just hand you easy hints every time.
Some of these are. That's a good one.
All right, LAFC are 4-2-0 this season, unbeaten so far. Third in the Western Conference, mainly because they have a game in hand. still to play with the LA was it El Trafico getting canceled week 1.
Yep.
Um, top player, I
This
think
has
this
got to be the easiest list ever. We just got to knock this out.
top player Dennis Bouanga.
Yeah,
That's an easy one.
Denny, be respectful.
Denny,
Denny
Denny,
Bouanga.
Denny
Yeah.
Bouanga. Okay, sorry, Denny
All right.
Bouanga.
That's just silly
Uh,
if nobody picks him.
yes, Denny Bouanga is the obvious one. For top player, one of the top players in the entire league, let alone LAFC.
Correct.
Most impressive player, Denny Bouanga.
Oh, no, different.
I have an honorable mention.
Is your
Maybe
honorable mention Timothy Tillman because
it
he's
is Timothy Tillman. Yes, but
definitely didn't expect it out of him
yeah,
when he came in because he's just Malik's bigger brother and nobody had heard of him until he came over to LAFC. But man, oh man, did he have a great start to this year, filling in for basically filling the Latif role, and he's done it so well. 2 goals, 0 assists, in that attacking mid role, just about 400 minutes. But really, I mean, you look at it, key passes outside of Vela, he's up there with just about one a game. So, um, doing the good work on the ball, really impressed by his play.
yeah. I mean, I went Bouanga mainly because in the short sample size that we saw last season, where he played about 500 minutes, he had 1 goal, 0 assists. Now this season, he's played 456 minutes, 40 less than what he's had last year, and he has 7 goal contributions versus the one he had last year. Like it has been a completely different player.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. All right. Least impressive player. This
Good
one's
luck.
definitely tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck.
This one is like it's a reach, and I'm definitely stretching on this one. But I went with Kellen Acosta. I don't think Kellen Acosta is a bad player in the slightest. Obviously, you and I, we love Kellen Acosta, especially when he is a fullback. But I've gone Kellen Acosta because ratings wise, he was a bit lower on the sites. He's another one of those midfielders, so it's kind of tough. Can't really just go off of clean sheets, goals, or assists. But he was 10th on SofaScore in terms of rating, and on Who Scored, he was 13th. Um, and while that's definitely not bad, and he's had good ratings on both sites, I just think Kellen Acosta is one of the better midfielders in the league. So I think he's even better than what he's been playing this season.
It's just really funny because Kellen Acosta on WhoScored.com has 6.83 rating, which would be like the best midfielder on half of the teams in the league right now.
Yeah, and he's
That's
13th on LAFC. It's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. That's how tough we're holding for this because not only are they running the table right now, but they're also running it in Champions League too.
Yeah, 100%.
I went with Daniil Maldonado. Why? Because they signed him this summer and he has not done much. Now, what that has to do with him? Absolutely nothing. But I am not picking anybody else from that list because it's just not fair.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I maybe you could have went with. I thought you were going to maybe go Jose Cifuentes.
I thought about it too. Thought about it too because he was
You were
supposed to
super
be.
high on him last year.
I was maybe.
So maybe
Nobody
it's
needs to
in.
look that up. Nobody needs to look
It's
that up.
documented.
No, it isn't.
It's official.
Do not even think about trying to look that up. Um, yeah, he was in there to kind of well. I'm almost wondering if Tillman, and again, I don't watch LAFC all the time, but Tillman, did he really take more of Cifuentes' spot than Latif? Because Cifuentes only has 2 starts this year. And here's the thing: we're also looking at this without really mentioning the elephant in the room, which is massive rotation during Champions League weeks. So you can't really pick on anybody for not playing or whatever. Which is why I went with Maldonado because in this world of massive rotation, he's the only one who really doesn't have a lot of impact outside of Eldin Jakupovic. But yeah,
Everton legend.
yeah, man, that dude, Everton makes the world takes, baby, including the championship.
Yeah, this is impossible. It was
So let's just
probably
do it.
the hardest question out of every team we've done so far.
Yeah, so let's just go to the next one.
Yeah. Overachieving, underachieving. I think this is an obvious one, but they are clearly underachieving considering they're not in first place right now. What are they doing? Absolutely slacking. Get that extra game in there. I don't care. That's a lousy excuse. No, obviously just right. They have been unbeaten. Honestly, I would almost say it's overachieving what I even expected of them, even though I think I had them first.
No, you
Uh,
didn't.
no, I had Austin first. I had them
Yeah,
second.
don't even try and hide
It was
that.
listen, it's second. Okay, I had them second. So I think what they've been able to do in terms of balancing CCL and the league, clearly we see that's not easy. We saw it last year with Seattle. They couldn't do
We're
it.
seeing it
Philly,
this year with Philly.
Philly can't do it. Orlando can't do it. LAFC are crushing it, knocking it out of the park. They're rewriting what it means to be an MLS franchise.
If all right, here's my question for you.
Okay.
If LAFC win the Champions League, MLS Cup, Supporters Shield treble, does MLS completely look the other way in all the rules that they definitely broke to get this team and just let it happen?
I think you give them the LA Galaxy punishment. Slight slap on the
Slap on the
wrist.
wrist.
Yeah. But I can't imagine they'll go or they give them the like early 2010s Galaxy treatment and rewrite the rules for them.
That's what I'm thinking.
Which
Grandfather
I'm on
them
board
in.
for. I'm on board for
Grandfather. Listen, if
that.
they win that treble, you're dang right. Go ahead. Have
Yeah.
fun. That
You
would be
can do
back.
whatever
That
you
would be
want.
back to back doubles of the hardest thing that you can do, plus the Champions League. Yeah, right to my veins.
Yeah, you can have 4 DPs. That's okay.
40p. Spend $9 million a gam. Do whatever you want to do. Just keep winning.
Yeah, exactly. My question for you is this team relying too much on just Denny Buwanga?
No, Bouanga's putting the ball away, but you've still got Tillman who's doing well. Vela's been underachieving 100%. You haven't seen Opoku do much, but here's the thing: like all those goals are being picked up by other player or by Bouanga. But if Bouanga goes quiet, I mean, it's not like they're going to go dead. They've got so many other weapons, right? Vela still hasn't kicked off. Opoku, we just mentioned. Stipe Buik has done very well, still gaining confidence there. Cifuentes still hasn't really kicked himself off yet. I mean, you got tons of talent in that team. I am not worried in the slightest.
Yeah, I don't think there's a real worry either. Just ask the question considering he has scored 50% of their goals. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll be fine. I know we did talk early in the season about there being slight worries with the team being a bit thin, but I still think the team they'll definitely be successful, even if Buanga cooled down a lot.
Which he will, by the way.
Yeah, he's not going to stay at this rate the entire season.
Or be here the entire season.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. Maybe that should have been the question for you, but you kind of already answered that already.
Next.
Let's move on. Next, easy hint for you. Enemies of the pod.
Oh, we have so many of them. Oh no.
There's only one Western
There's
Conference
only one
team.
way. Well, I mean, for now.
For now,
Well, we've
yes.
got two of them, probably.
Who's the second one?
Well, one of them is the team we're about to talk about, Minnesota.
Yes,
And the other
correct.
one's probably St. Louis.
I don't know. I feel like we were pretty kind to them in the St. Louis episode.
St. Louis episode, yeah, but every single TikTok I've made has been slander. So
That's true. You do every MLS minute, you do slander them.
as it should be, by the way. But let's talk
Uh,
Minnesota. Let's talk
all right,
Minnesota.
let's talk Minnesota. Let's talk. Well, we will talk about St. Louis at some point. Minnesota this season are 3-2-1, fifth in the Western Conference. Top player, honestly, even though they're playing well, was not super easy. I went with Kervin Arriaga.
Same.
Oh wow, I didn't expect that, but he was rated well in both sites. Another one of those midfielders. He's actually the top rated one in Who Scored, and on SOFA he is the fourth highest rated. So I think he's been playing really well for them in the midfield. He's actually got a goal as well, helping Minnesota to play way above what I'm sure many expected for them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this team was relying on Will Trapp as their real CDM for a long time.
They still kind of are. He's
They
got
still kind of
400
are, but
minutes.
they're balancing it now, right? It wasn't just Will Trapp anymore. Now they're balancing it, which helps things along. But I mean, there were other options there, but I couldn't take them because they beat Red Bull, so I couldn't pick a lot of these guys.
Okay, fair enough. Who is your most impressive player?
Mender Garcia. Um, yeah, 24 years old, new signing this year, 2 goals in just about 300 minutes. Really acclimated to the league well, and think that he did really well getting himself into the team early and how do you like gelling with them, right? Yeah, signed just August of 2022, so um, hasn't been with the team super long, but you know, really kicking off right now and showing that he can hold it in this league. So good on him.
Cool. I've got Miguel Tapias, the center back.
Nice.
First year in MLS so far. Um, he is the top second highest rated player on Who Scored, top rated player on SofaScore, and Minnesota right now has been fantastic defensively, and that to me is the reason why they're in fifth. They have conceded only 5 goals so far this season. They've scored 7, which is okay. It's about average in the West. So the reason that they're here in fifth is because they've been playing really well defensively, and I think Tapias is one of, if not the largest contributor to that. So
Yeah,
highly impressive for him to come in first season and just easily integrate like this.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Least impressive player. I hope I don't cause more enemies with this one. I've gone with Dane Sinclair.
Who?
Dane, even though I
Who?
just talked about how good they've been defensively.
Talking about Dwayne?
Um, yeah,
My boy Dwayne?
I think his season so far, just compared to what we've seen him capable of, has been a little bit disappointing. I think the defensive record that they've had has been a lot of what the defense and the defensive midfield has been able to do. Let me pull up some numbers so I can actually back this up. But Dane has faced 13 shots on target this season, so not much. And he has saved 9 of them. So he's got a 69% save percentage.
Nice.
Um, he's got 2 clean sheets on the season, but like I said, I think that was mainly the defense considering he's only faced 13 shots. So he's facing on average less than 3 shots a game. So he hasn't had a lot to do. And his favorite stat, the PSXG plus minus, he was one of the best in the league in this last year at 6.9. He's a minus 1.4 so far this season. So it's just well below what he was doing last year. So for me, while I don't think he's a bad player, nor do I think he's having a bad season, I just don't think he's playing nearly at the level that he's capable of.
Good job, nerd. It
Thanks.
was a good stat. Good comparison. I've got Joseph Rosales in there. I think again, this one is least impressive. Grace doesn't like it. Grace heard you talking bad about Dwayne St. Clair, and
Listen,
she was
Grace
like,
came
"I'm
up
not
when you
having
said Joseph Rosales. I think she's a big Joseph Rosales fan.
it." So definitely expected a little bit more out of him. Now again, Ariaga's playing very very well, but I expected him to rotate in a bit more and be more impactful. And he just kind of when he plays, he's about 150 minutes this year. When he plays, it's just kind of eh, right? He doesn't make that impact, and I think that's what he was brought in for was to be the next guy, but he hasn't shown that he's at that ability yet. At least from the numbers. Again, I don't watch Minnesota. I like exciting things like watching paint dry and grass grow and things like that. So,
I
yeah,
like it.
just think
The
he's
toxicity.
he's underperformed a little bit.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly, but I want to say maybe both of us had him in our predicted starting 11 for them too. And now he's kind of barely been in the picture so far.
Yeah, I think I had him bumping Will Trapp, but Will Trapp is everlasting.
Yeah,
He
he
is
is
eternal.
inevitable. He is inevitable, and you will never get rid of him. All right. So then overachieving, underachieving. This should be probably a pretty easy one. 100% they've been overachieving what we expected for them. No Reynoso, we expected no party, but so far they have been playing super well. Got themselves in fifth place, way higher than we were expecting. I had them 11th, so definitely doing way better than I thought they would. We'll see if they'll be able to keep up this level of success. I kind of doubt it, but maybe that's just me being a Minnesota hater.
Yeah, 100% overachieving. This is the worst team in the league. I mean, they were supposed to be dead last. Winning a game, shocking, right? No, of course. Definitely overachieving. I think with the Reynoso absence is the biggest focus there, right? I mean, kind of crazy the fact that without their best player, their playmaker, the guy who made everything click for them, they're punching that high above their weight. And I should clarify, they didn't actually beat Red Bull. They tied Red Bull, but still unacceptable. Um, so yeah, like I said, my worry and the reason why I don't think this is sustainable is they're 3-1, 3-1-0 away from home. There's 0-0-2 at home. They haven't won a game at home yet. And as Red Bull New York has shown, your home record is very, very important. Your away record, not so very much. So they're going to have to figure that out relatively soon. But yeah, just worried that that form there tells me eventually that'll level out and they'll drop down.
Yeah, I agree. Question for you. I guess we kind of just spoke about it. You could tell me if you want to add anything else. I said, is this team overrated at the moment?
No, no, I wouldn't say they're overrated. By the way, I don't think anybody rates them. Let me rephrase that before I get attacked. I don't think anybody rates them as a like they should be where they are. I think everybody right now is kind of like, wow, I can't believe they're there, expecting to fall off. Right. So I wouldn't say they're overrated. I think they're just punching above the belt.
I think I came up with this question because I was listening to 360 and I was listening to Extra Time, and I feel like consistently week in week out they were talking about like Minnesota's one of the best teams in the West. They took down St. Louis. They're battling up there. They're a team you don't want to face right now. And the way they were hyping it up, I thought Minnesota was like second, third in the West. And then I checked and I saw that they were fifth. I mean, granted, they have a game in hand, but I just feel like this team was definitely painted better than they've actually been playing so far. Not that they've been playing bad. They're fifth. They're in a playoff spot. But I thought they were like tearing the league apart the way that they were talking about it. And I mean, they just got beat by Chicago last weekend, a team that neither of us were high on at the start
Hey,
of the season.
don't you hate on my boys in Chicago?
Listen, you want to pull up what your prediction was for them? I don't think I'm the only
Six.
hater. You had them sixth?
At
Is this
some point,
2022?
at some point, I did.
Yeah, in 2022. All right, we're going on a tangent. Let's
Yeah.
move on. We need to stay on track. Next up, this is going to be a 50-50 one for you based on this hint. A team in dire need of goals.
Oh, that's SKC.
It is not SKC. It is the Colorado Rapids. That's why I said it was a 50-50. You could probably go either way. Colorado's only scored 3 goals so far this year.
Yeah, so is SKC.
Yeah, exactly. 50-50.
And look at that. They're both out of the playoffs. What a shock. Oh, no. SKC's only scored 2. It's LA who's scored.
Still, okay, we're 2 or 3 goals either way. It's terrible. But Colorado are sitting at 1-3-3, 12th place in the Western Conference. Top player is not an easy task to pick, but I have gone with Cole Bassett. I think Cole Bassett's been one of their better players so far this season. Like I said, 3 goals scored, so there's not really going to be much in terms of players getting goals and assists, but he does have one of those 3 goals. So big up Cole Bassett.
I went with Maxo. There was not a chance in the world I was picking a top player in an attacking phase of the team that, yeah, just wasn't happening, right? So I went with the center back. Yeah, they've only scored 3, but they've also only conceded 8, which is right about the same as many other teams. I think there's only 2 or 3 of them in their conference that are a bit lower than them. So they're doing well on one end. They just have to make it work on the other.
Okay. Most impressive player who you got?
I got Darren Yappy. Big fan of Darren Yappy. He's not scoring many goals, but he's doing all the right things, right? He's getting in the right areas. He's using good athleticism to create chances, create opportunities. Um, very, very high potential out of him to make something. So I believe if they continue to play him and he continues to stay healthy, um, results will come out of him. I believe it was a couple weeks ago where I said this dude looks like he is ready. He is a year away from being a 7 to 10 goal scorer in the league. I mean, he's just got all the tools. So very, very interested in that, and hope he can do that. But also, he's learning under Diego Rubio, who's right back in the goals. So we'll see how that goes on.
Listen, listen. You can't just contradict your own logic immediately after you say it. You
Yeah,
said you wouldn't pick an attacking player for
for
best
top player,
player.
but most impressive, absolutely I can. Why?
Listen,
Because it's my show.
I think Yappy's got good potential, but at the end of the day, he's still an attacker. He's got to get involved in the goals and assists, and they've scored 3 goals all season. He's got 1 assist so far, and he's the 11th highest rated player on Who Scored and the 19th highest rated player on SofaScore. So
That's so wild. He's 18 years old and he's already
yeah, I think he's got great potential, but
400 minutes.
he hasn't been doing anything so far.
He's
Not
my
enough
most.
so far.
Did you expect Darren Yappy to have any impact on this season? Are you impressed by the fact that he has had an impact that he has?
What impact? They have
The
3 goals.
of create. All right, you clearly are not watching Colorado.
He's
Rapids.
not creating. Clearly, he's not creating that much because they have
He's
3 goals.
creating chances, not goals. There's a difference.
He's a striker.
You're not a striker.
I've gone with Brian Acosta. Brian Acosta is the
So
top-rated
original.
player across both sites. He's had a fantastic season for them in the midfield. Another one of those guys where you can't really look at goals and assists considering he's a midfielder, nor clean sheets. But I think he has been absolutely crucial for them. Hasn't played a ton. He's got 360 minutes, 4 games, 4 starts. But when he's in there, it looks like he is absolutely balling out for them.
Okay.
He's averaging, I think, 3 key passes a game as a midfielder. I mean, he's doing his part.
Yeah. Want to talk about key
Least
passes?
impressive.
Yeah. No. Key passes. Darren Yappy's already almost at a key pass a game from striker.
Wow.
He's a player with the second most dribbles completed. He's drawn second most amount of fouls. Third, sorry. I'm not counting Diego Rubio or Steven Beitashour because they've got 1 appearance. He is making things happen. Just because they're not going in doesn't mean he's not making things happen. And that is impressive to me because I didn't expect it. You need to get perspective.
Listen, I needed an opening clip. All right. You gave me the opening clip.
That's what I'm here for.
Least impressive player. I have gone for Max. The
Ruby and Max?
Is he Peruvian?
No, I said never mind. Move on.
What did you say?
Move on.
I've gone for the Brazilian attacking midfielder Max that they signed, I think, 2 seasons ago, or last season, I guess. I know he was kind of hyped up to be their next big attacking playmaker. He was their young South American signing, and he's 12th highest rated on Who Scored. He is the 9th highest rated on SofaScored, and he's got 0 goals, 0 assists so far. So I expected way more out of him, especially considering this team scored 3 goals.
I'll take you a step lower than that. I got Sam Nicholson, who's got double the amount of minutes and the same amount of goal contributions. He's just been when he was at Colorado the first stint, he was very exciting. I was really excited to have him back, and he has just been meh.
Yeah, most people on this team have been meh, in fairness.
Yeah, really what should happen is Sam Nicholson should take a seat, and my boy Kevin Cabral should jump in there and get his minutes.
Are you a big Kevin Cabral guy?
Kevin
Is that what you're
Cabral in
saying?
Colorado is my boy. He's
He's
got a
your boy.
third of the team. He's got a third of the team's goals this year. It's ridiculous. Dude's balling out.
He's gonna rival Denny Bouanga for top player, honestly.
Goal contributions per player per team. Dude's running away with it.
All right, overachieving, underachieving.
They're
I
right where
had
they belong.
I predicted them seventh, so they are slightly underachieving what I expected from them.
I
I
have
guess
them
probably
10.
more than slightly. You had them 10th. Okay,
At
so you're pretty close.
Yeah, I'm always pretty much spot on. So
If this
uh,
team starts figuring out how to score goals, I think they will genuinely move up the table um, to like be in that playoff hunt. I think at this point they've kind of shot any chance at doing what they did a couple seasons ago and shocking the world, finishing top of the Western Conference. But I still think this team, once, if Diego Rubio comes back in and does Diego Rubio things, they will move up and be in that playoff hunt again. But right now they're underachieving.
I would say that usually is how this game works. If they start scoring goals, they'll start winning.
That's
They
not
start
always
winning
true.
on the
San
road.
Jose used to score more goals than a number of teams in the Western Conference and always finished in like dead last because they conceded like 70 goals a season.
Wow. Look at Connor flexing his ball knowledge all the way back to 2018. Ooh.
2018, San Jose was doing this like last year.
Oh, great. So you really don't have any ball knowledge. Great. Continue to prove my point. Thank you. Ask me your question.
Should Robin Fraser get sacked?
Oh, that's actually a good one.
Colorado were not good last year, I think.
They
And
missed the playoffs last year. It was your prediction. Don't you remember?
yes, yes,
I
they
do now.
finished 10th last year, currently in 12th. Should he,
They're
or
in
sorry,
11th.
11th.
Yeah.
Should he be sacked?
Got to give it to midseason. I don't think any coach outside of Gerard Struber right now should be sacked before the midway point. That is um, usually my telltale sign. If you're within striking distance of a playoff spot at midway point and your team is moving in the right direction, you stick around. If they're dead last and they haven't had a win in 4 weeks or whatever, yeah, then he's gone.
Okay. I don't disagree. I think he should get a bit more time to see if they can try and turn things around.
Cool.
Moving on. Oh, just the 2023 version of the Chicago Fire. This is impossible hint for you. You're never gonna get it. This is my Chicago Fire.
Is it? Oh, it's Portland.
No,
Damn.
Portland.
Is it San Jose?
It's San Jose.
Where are they
Don't
right
you
now?
remember my bold predictions?
Yeah, well, I did, but Portland, the difference between Portland and your prediction and San Jose and your prediction are massive,
Yes.
which is
Wait,
like,
I don't know what you're saying. I'm gonna
let's just
move
move
on.
on because you're bothering me.
San Jose are 3-2-2, currently sixth place in the Western Conference. Top player for me, Christian Espinosa.
Wow, good one.
Yeah, easy one.
Yeah, did balling out. Great for my fantasy team also last week, so extra points there.
Whoever's doing well for Andrew's fantasy team is absolutely balling out.
Speaking of which, I got to
Uh,
make sure I got mine set for this week.
yeah, you better hurry up. Only 2.5 hours left.
It's already set, and he may already be in there. Actually, oh, he is. Go me.
I think he's in mine as well. He might be captaining mine this week. I forget. Anyway, off tangent immediately. Who is your most impressive player?
Oh, I went with Espinoza again. I didn't think anybody else stood out from this San Jose team. Like, there's nobody who's overachieving what I thought or anything like that. So I just doubled up.
Boo. That's all I have to say. Boo.
Don't boo me.
That's
Boo you.
boring.
Boo you.
Can you remember who we talked about as one of, if not the worst goalkeeper in the league last season? Not sure if you'll be able to recall or if you remember.
No.
How about a one JT Marcinkowski?
Yeah.
A -8 in the PSXG plus minus last season with a 66% save percentage, 4 clean sheets. He was brutal, probably because of the system. Not going to fully blame him, but he has been my most impressive. Why? Because it's been an absolute turnaround for him. I wanted to look at, I was in the middle of looking to see if Daniel got hurt because he started the first couple weeks and then he hasn't been playing. And I'm not totally sure why. Let me check really quick. I mean, he's just listed as not in the squad. I don't know if maybe something has happened, but JT has moved back into that starting spot, has played the last 5 games for them. He's a 78% save percentage, 2 clean sheets, and a plus 1.9 in the PSXG plus minus. He's been absolutely crushing it compared to last season and has been absolutely playing way more impressively than I expected and way more impressively than last season.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there at all. I think, yeah, he's stepped up into that role. He's done very well about it. And I am just curious as to the impact, like the early season surges, because I don't think San Jose keeps up what they're doing personally. So I don't know if he's just
It's because you're
riding,
a hater.
I don't know if he's just riding that wave of excitement or whatever, but yeah, I don't see that happening much longer.
Well, you know what I've heard? Someone else not riding the wave of excitement is your least impressive player. Who would that be?
Nice. Good little segue there. Um, oh, Benji Kikanovic. This dude was being talked about to a move to Europe at the beginning of the year. Man
That
can't
was
even step,
ridiculous, though. Come on. That came
man,
out of nowhere.
man can't even step on the field now.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know who made that call and was like, Benji Kikanovic is off to Europe. Get him on a Premier League team. Man City's calling. They're knocking on the door.
Yeah. I just, like I said, that made me giggle, so I had to throw it in there.
I wonder if I'm going to get roasted for this one. I've gone for Cade Cowell. Cade
Oh, get
Cowell.
him. Get him.
Cade Cowell, I think, still is a highly promising player. But man, has it been a rough season for him so far. 17th highest rated player on Sofa. Uh, he is where is he? Can't even find him on this list. 13th highest rated on Who Scored. 0 goals, 0 assists so far this season. It's not like this is his first year either. He's had years under his belt at this point. I mean, he was playing for San Jose when he was 16 years old. And he was showing good promise. I mean, 17 years old, he had 10 goal contributions for San Jose already. That's massive. And I feel like every season since then, it's been backwards progression. And so far this year, he started every single game. He's got 548 minutes and he's got 0 goals, 0 assists.
But,
You expect more from a guy that's being touted for a Barcelona move.
but Connor, he's almost in Europe. You're not allowed to slander people like that. You know that. You
You're
know you
right.
can't
You're
talk
right.
bad about
Let
people
me
who
check myself. Let me
you
check
can't
myself.
speak bad about somebody who at one point almost made a move to Europe. That is blasphemous.
That is a fair point. That is a fair. I retract my statement. Redact it. I'm just gonna put a bleep over the whole thing. No one's ever gonna know.
Love it. That's the answer. Good job.
All right. Overachieving, underachieving. You go first because I needed the ego boost after.
Easily overachieving. Period.
No, this team is just right. I predicted them sixth. They are currently sixth. This is exactly what I expected from this team. New coach, new season. There's good players on this team, and they're finally getting to show it. This is a playoff team, no question about it. They're not a top team in the West. Don't get me wrong, but this is a playoff team and not a play-in team, a playoff team.
Check back at the halfway point when we do a review and Connor's crying in the corner
Stop.
because they fall apart.
That's only happening if a couple players get hurt. No,
Uh,
this team is legit. I'm telling you. And my question for you is, please tell me why I am the superior host and that Andrew should lose all of his prediction privileges. Okay, I have a legitimate question for you. You can come back.
How do
The
I meet?
legitimate question is, can all of this be credited to a new head coach?
Oh, there we go. That's how I do it. Oh, I'm in control. I love it.
All right. Did you hear my question? I don't know if I
Yeah,
understood.
yeah. I heard it. I heard it. Relax. Um, yeah, absolutely. Right. When you bring in a new coach, players pick up their level. They play for I mean, I think the system is much better as well, right? Man marking out the window. Um, but
Jackson, you'll not at center back.
Jackson Ewell not at center back, even though I need more of it. Also look at the new players, right? Carlos Gruezo has solidified that spot, allowing Jackson Ewell to go forward a little bit more. Espinosa is playing at such a high level. I think the biggest thing for me is this is why my prediction is what it is that this is going to fall off because that high of playing for that new coach, new system, new feel, it only lasts so long until teams figure you out. And then you're kind of like, oh, here we go again. So, um, but yeah, absolutely could be credited to the new coach, 100%.
I think the coach should get definitely majority of the credit, but I genuinely think this roster is talented. I mean, JT's playing well again, but even if he isn't, we know Daniel can play well. Grazo's a good player. Jameer Montero, we know is a good player in MLS. Uh, Cade Cowell, if he can get himself going, will just add to the attack. I mean, we know he has massive potential. Espinosa is one of the better players in the league. Jeremy Abobasi absolutely blew up last season. We know he can be a really good striker. I mean, Ewell's getting called back into the national team.
Oh
You
my
can
God, that's right. He did.
you could say what you want
Oh,
about that, but he's getting called back into the national
I
team
fr-
again.
Great. Now I don't want to watch a national team. Thanks. I was
Come on,
excited for some.
he almost scored a banger against Red Bull last weekend.
Stop it. You're telling me I need to watch Jackson Ewell take on Mexico? This is what I got to get
Yes,
hyped up
I
for?
am telling you.
Stop it. Stop it.
But yes, this team is good. Rodriguez has been good. Jonathan Mensah, obviously, we know at one point was a finalist for Defender of the Year. Like, this is a good team on paper. They finally got a coach that isn't playing guys completely out of position. And it's starting to show. I think they're a legitimate playoff team. I'm sticking by my prediction. I think this team is legit.
Okay.
Cool. I got my ego boost. I'm happy. Let's move on to the next team. This team, hint and transition, not so happy.
Not so happy. That
All
could be
right,
a
I'll give you a little bit more than that.
whole bunch of
We spoke to the mascot of this team.
going to Portland.
We are going to Portland.
Nice.
Little Joey Timber reference.
Timber
Haven't
Joe.
seen that episode. Go take a look. Go take a listen.
We need to put a whole playlist together of just our interviews. This team sucks.
Portland indeed do suck. They are 1, 2, and 4.
This.
They're 1, 2, and 4. They're 13th in the Western Conference. They're pretty bad. Top player for me has been Zach McGraw. I think he's one of the higher rated players on both of the lists. He's third on SOFA. He is first on Who Scored. And I think from what I remember from the analytics, and I'm going to double check it, but I think he looked like pretty decent there as well, even though they've conceded 12. I think a lot of that was from the Atlanta game. So I think he's actually been pretty decent for them, despite their rough start.
I really like Juan Mosquera. I think he's done very well at a very young age to get to the level that they expect out of him. Um, goal and an assist in 513 minutes as a 20-year-old defender is very, very good. He's providing good service in the attack. He's again, the defensive side of it is not so great, but he's doing the work on the other side that is promising for a team like that. The only reason that he's there is because my most impressive was Zach coming in and being the player that they traded Bill Tuiloma away because of, like him stepping in and being that guy. Definitely stepped into a very good role there. He's done very, very well next to Zuparic. I think something that not a lot of us expected, by the way, for him to step in there, but they decided he was ready and he repaid them with good performances. So,
yeah, I found the numbers that I was looking at. Genuinely insane numbers so far. Again, this is the percentile. It's looking at any center back that has played 450 or more minutes so far in the league. It's not a huge population because there's a bunch of guys under 450 right now, but enough that there are percentiles. Zach McGraw's lowest defensive percentile is 85th percentile in aerials won. He has been killing it defensively. He's 86% in interceptions, 95th percentile in tackles, 92nd in blocks, 94th in clearances. I mean, he's crushing it defensively. And this is despite the fact that Portland have conceded 12 goals.
Well, and that's kind of what I was about to say is I think what that is him scrambling for a lack of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He's covering for a lot of different people. So, yeah, definitely.
You know what hurts that even more? The loss of Eric Williamson for the rest of the season.
Oh God, don't even remind me. I'm literally, I was so sad when I saw that.
It's brutal.
Awful.
Yeah, I mean, this team is going through it this season. They've been put in a really tough spot. But yeah, I had the flip side for my most impressive. I had Juan Mosquera. I think he's looked really good so far. Well, as good as you can be for a team conceding 12 goals, but I think he's been a bright spot for them on that right side. So I think we're on the same page there. Least impressive.
This should be.
Have a feeling we're on the same page on this one too.
This should be so easy. $10 million.
Yeah, $10 million man, Evander.
God,
1 goal so far in 282 minutes.
I mean, he's not even getting on the field.
He's not playing. Yeah, he's been on the bench.
Do you imagine?
It has been a really rough start so far. But I definitely think, I almost think if Portland doesn't play, like if they get knocked out of the playoffs early, then that could be a good thing for him. He could have like that Eric Tommy type of effect where he comes in at the end of the season, plays with zero pressure, and starts to like get comfortable, build his game. And maybe next year is where we see the $10 million man we were expecting.
But Connor, don't you know that is bad for the league if there's no pressure and they get to develop themselves? We need to have relegation so that they're always under pressure.
That's true. I think we need to send the $10 million Vander to go play against like RBNY2.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what we need to do.
Yeah. Idiot. That's the only way.
God.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, complete side note. One of the things that they told me about this was every game is more exciting in a league with pro rel. My boss's team is Bolton Wanderers. Mm-hmm. They're in League 2. You know how many teams right now with 5 games to go have nothing to play for, relegation or promotion?
Probably a lot.
8. 8 teams have nothing to play for. So what?
I would imagine more than 8 realistically have nothing to play for.
Right. There are some that are just on the outskirts. By next week, the number will jump to like 13.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Don't tell me that it's going to make games more exciting when by a month left in the season, 13 teams are idiots. Please continue.
Yes. On to overachieving, underachieving. I think this is going to be an easy one as well. I had them third. I was high on them this season.
My God.
I thought them bringing in Evander was going to really solidify things for them, and it just has not. They have not looked good at all. So highly underachieving what I was expecting for them.
Yep, I had them in 7th. I also have them underachieving. So not much more to talk about there. They're bad.
Yeah, I can't believe I had them in 3rd. I don't know what I was thinking.
I
think it was you. I'm going to blame you because you hyped them up about their offseason. You're like, oh, they needed one position, and they brought in a $10 million man to fill that position. But in fairness, I'm looking at the roster right now. It looks like an infirmary room, right? Like there are 7 guys with a injured mark next to them.
This is the Atlanta United of 2021,
absolutely.
where we're all like, first place, got Almada, they got Parker, they got everything. Hurt. Season-ending injury. Nobody plays. Get in there.
Absolute. That is a perfect comparison. Yep. Honestly. All right. Question. I don't actually like this question. My question I wrote down was, does this team have a direction? I do think they have a direction. I still think this is a good team.
Down.
Huh? Direction down. Yeah. I still think this is a good team. I still think they have a good direction. I just think that they're getting murdered by injuries right now. And it might just be, like you said, one-off Atlanta type season. guys get healthy and then, retry again next year.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
Next up.
Only a few more to go. We're moving.
Yes. I will call this the Western Conference Legends Never Die. Think about the offseason. You remember our PowerPoint.
I'm thinking KC.
Yes, Sporting KC. Re-signed Graham Zusi and Roger Espinosa. And I think someone else too. Fontas, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about not wanting to move on from the past. Currently in dead last in the Western Conference.
In the league.
And in the league. 0 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses, 14th in the West. How you pick a top player from this team, I really don't know. And this honestly pains me so much to say this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but my top player for them this season is Graham Zusi. He was one of, I think on SOFA, he's their 4th highest rated. And on Who Scored, he is also their 4th highest rated. And I basically could not go with an attacker considering this team has 2 goals the entire season. They've only conceded 8. Like you said with Colorado, that's not bad. That's about average. This team is just cannot score goals. So I went with a defender. I think Zusi's been fine for them so far.
I went with Eric Tommy. It's a cop-out pick, but he's my favorite player on that team, and everybody else is garbage. So
yeah, Eric Tommy when he's he's a good player. He I think is being let down by the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Most impressive for me, I went with Robert Volader. 21?
24. Oh, no, Volader.
No.
Sorry,
Yeah.
21. Yeah.
Yep. Volader, 21 years old. He's come in, played every game for SKC so far. And like I said, defensively, they've been fine. They've been about average, should be competing for a playoff spot based on that. So I don't think the blame is really on him. I think he's come in and he's done well to kind of adjust right into this team. Although he did have a decent number of minutes last season, but I think he's doing well for how young he is.
Yeah, my most impressive is John Pulskamp. Had a very iffy start to his year last year. And I believe he's now not playing in there. I think it's Tim Melia's come back from injury and took it. But for the 5 games that he had, I mean, let me just double check here really quick. I hate that that Transfer Market's a German website. It just takes so much longer to load. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
He's got 2 clean sheets and 5 appearances. I mean, he's done very well for what we expect out of him, and he's still very young, so getting his feet wet.
Okay. Least impressive. Where do we even start?
I know where I can start.
Go ahead.
My golden boot pick. Absolutely dropping the ball, William.
I forgot who your golden pick.
You disrespectful man. How dare you get cursed by the podcast like every other person I name dropped at the beginning of preseason? Oh man. 6 starts, 1 sub appearance, 1 goal in just over 500 minutes. Somebody somewhere, I don't know who, bought into this hype of him being a monster at the end of last season and thought it was going to transition over, and now they look silly because they made silly predictions on their silly podcast and now they sound silly.
Listen, you can only curse people for so long. At least not to put them in your fantasy team.
Why does every other podcast have like the good podcast curse? Like, oh, we interviewed you and you scored a hat trick. Great. Ours is like, oh, we talked about you. You're done for your career's over. Sorry.
I think it's really only you. I think it's just especially like you were high on Chicago last year. They sucked. You were high on Kip Keller. We know what happened there.
Erkin
got us your golden boot pick. He scores nothing.
Erkin.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, that's like the one exception.
I'm never name dropping somebody again.
Just name drop
This
people
is why
that
nobody gives us interviews because
just
they
hype.
know what will
Yeah,
happen.
they must know.
Nikosi's a top 10 center back. Don't let him come on our podcast.
Yeah, seriously. I think you got to stop talking about him. He's gonna fall off.
Eventually he will. Right. We're gonna put this episode out. He'll never hit another pass again.
I know.
Oh, we're the worst.
I've gone for Fontas here. I know that they haven't been too bad defensively, but looking at his numbers on that same comparison on FBref, he has zero point 0.2 blocks per 90, 2.4 clearances per 90, one aerial one per 90, all of which puts him in the 5th percentile or lower, like dreadfully bad. I think that the other guys in the defense have kind of probably been picking up for that slack, but the numbers don't look great on what he's been capable of in defense. And who scored, I think, was kind of in agreement. He's 13th highest rated on their team for a guy who's basically center back too, I think. So yeah, I think we've seen better Fontas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One of the easiest questions of the show: overachieving, underachieving. I had them 8th. They're dead last. Obviously underachieving.
Where did I have him underachieving too? I just want to see how bad I missed it. Oh no, I had him in 6th.
That's all right. I don't think many people had this one right.
All right, let me answer your question for you. Yes, Vanny out.
Vanny, wrong team.
I know. Because I'm looking at so the way I laid this out was in MLS.com had a list of all their team names, and SKC and LA Galaxy were right next to each other. It used to be Kansas City Wiz, LA Galaxy, and they just never changed it to the S. So I was looking at LA the whole time. So I'm like, oh, LA, Greg Vanny. Yeah, no. Vermees out. Get out.
My question is, when should Vermees be sacked?
Right now.
And why is the answer like yesterday?
I'm so glad I can read your mind.
I think it was an obvious question. But yeah, I mean, he had, obviously he's historically had success with SKC, but they were 12th last year. 2021.
He's gonna go on a sunshine ride with Graham Zusi and co. And when they retire, he's gonna walk away.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what the goal was here. Like the direction was like, we're gonna bring back all our veteran players and we're just gonna rely and hope that like the hot form that Tommy and Agata were in last season continues. And clearly it hasn't, and they're paying the price for it. I mean, they've to be fair, they've tried on bringing players in, but they've just swung and missed on every single one. Like Pulido, Gotti Kinda, Eric Tommy, Willie Agata. I mean, there's still time for them to turn that around, but so far I feel like they've swung and missed on every single one.
Yep.
Cool. On to the next one. Oh boy, your favorite Western Conference team.
Let's go St. Louis. Enemies of the
It's
pod.
St. Louis time. Time to
Enemies
slander.
of the pod.
Just your enemy. Listen, I was there. I visited St. Louis. I can't be an enemy.
All right. So their top player is any center back that they play. Most impressive is any center back that they play with. Least impressive are the center backs who don't give them the ball. Are they overachieving? They're overachieving for a team that gets them in there. And your question for me as to why are they so good right now? It's because every team gives them the ball. Next.
Yep, that's about what I expected from you. My top player, or sorry, let me start over. They're 5-0-2.
I've thrown you off.
Second in the Western Conference. My top player for them, I have gone for Edward Leuven because I didn't want to pick João Clash considering he's been handed a few goals so far this season.
That's who I picked because he's been handed those goals.
He's taken them well. I mean, I'm not going to blame Klaus for them passing the ball right to him. I mean, he's finishing every one of those chances, but I've been with Leuven. I think he's been pulling the strings behind the scenes, and Klaus has been getting a lot of the attention because he's scoring the goals, but Leuven's got 1 goal, 3 assists so far. And I think he's been a great player for them. Most impressive. I've gone for Kyle Hybert. I think
Yeah.
he's went into that center back spot and he's absolutely locked it down. Uh, I mean, they have conceded 8 goals so far this season, but I think he's done a great job with. Uh, he was a draft pick, I think, right? First season. Yep, first season for a brand new team. Obviously, there's going to be chemistry issues, but he has come in and he's played like an MLS vet. So most impressive for me easily.
Um, so I had two. I thought you were gonna pick him. But I also put in Jared Stroud there. I thought Jared Stroud has really come into his own. Watching him at Red Bull, we knew exactly what he could grow into, and he never really got that shot in Austin. So I'm really glad that he has stepped up again. Another one who benefits from the other team, but he has done very
Correct. Tell me if I'm totally off my rocker here on this one. The Stroud to St. Louis move reminds me a bit of um, Diego Fagundes moving to Austin. Like I feel like it was just a really good revival move for them to just kind of like jumpstart them again.
well. Yeah, no, I can see that for sure.
Cool. All right, least impressive might be a tough one, honestly, because I think they've all been playing better than we expected from them. I've gone for Thomas Ostrak. I thought he would be better, honestly. Not to say that he's been poor, but 344 minutes, 4 starts so far. A guy that I thought was going to be more involved in the attack going forward for them. One of the young Bundesliga guys that they brought over, but he's only got 1 goal so far, 0 assists. I think ratings wise, he wasn't great either. He's ninth on who scored, and where is he on here? Sorry, I can't. He's 13th on Sofa. So I don't think he's playing poorly, but I thought he would do a bit more for them.
For me, it was Ozil Jackson. Jackson was the guy that I highlighted as somebody who I thought was going to have a breakout year this year. Um, Realistically, just hasn't had the opportunity. Um, Still very, very young. He was just my one to watch as a breakout guy. 21-year-old midfielder. He's only got 16 minutes this year. I just expected a lot more out of him. However, because what I expected was this midfield to be not figured out on day one, and they just they hit it right on the head. So um, he just hasn't had the chance to get it yet.
Cool. Overachieving, underachieving should be a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
Obviously overachieving.
Yep.
I had them 13th. Was not high on them at all. Maybe it was just a lack of knowledge and me being a bit ignorant, but they are clearly doing much better than 13th.
Yeah. Yeah. Overachieving. That's an easy one.
All right, question for you. This team started the season 5-0. They've lost their last two. Is this team crashing back to earth now?
Yeah. Absolutely. They set records. It was great. Really excited. Um, and they're not bad, by the way. This isn't me saying, oh, they're garbage and they're going to uh you know finish dead last, right? But we all knew they were above their weight. We all knew that they were punching high, and now that they've been and let's be honest, right? And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but they didn't really, to my knowledge, have a super tough start to the year.
You mean like schedule wise?
Yeah, schedule wise, I think they had one good win, if I remember correctly.
They beat
I think
Austin, they beat Charlotte, they beat Portland, they beat San Jose, RS and RSL.
yeah.
So
So
to
so
your point,
really,
I think none of those teams are in a playoff spot. Maybe a play in.
well, San Jose is. You just
Oh
spent
yes, San
hours
Jose.
talking about how good they are.
I don't know about hours, but okay, yes,
Um,
San Jose.
so San Jose's in there, and their first win of the season against Austin was a good one too. But
Well,
Charlotte, Portland,
we
and
thought so.
Salt Lake, yeah,
They did
Charlotte.
also get kind of handed that one that win.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing, right? But when they started, Minnesota has been playing relatively well, and then Seattle put them in their place. Now they got FCC, which is going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah.
Colorado away is going to be relatively difficult. Then they get Portland again, then Dallas, and then they get LAFC, LA. So what's good for what they're doing is they don't have a ton of back-to-back-to-back really tough games, so they can kind of settle in and figure it out. Um, but yeah, I think what you're going to see is this team's going to drop down relatively mid-table when they start playing teams that are, significantly better than them and don't give them the ball. I think you'll see them drop a bit. But then the teams that they're supposed to beat, Colorado and Chicago maybe, and SKC and those teams, they'll get results off. So I think this team is probably closer to middle of the or playing maybe a bit above that right now. But it's all about consistency, my friend.
Yeah, I think people are gonna overreact because there's a decent chance that they lose to FCC. I mean, FCC is a very good team, and that would make 3 straight losses for them. And I think people will overreact to that and say that this is the real St. Louis. They're crashing back to earth. This is what we expected from them. The first 5 games were a fluke. I think the real test for me is that Colorado game after it to see what they're capable of there. If they get the job done there, I think that this team is a good team and just hit a run of games where they were playing tough opponents. I mean, Seattle's top of the West, FCC's top of the East. It's back to back. You're playing against the top team, arguably on each Eastern Conference. I mean, each conference. So I think majority of the time you're not going to be playing the top team. So Colorado is a good test to see if they can continue that first 5-game stretch or if they are actually falling to the level that we were expecting of them.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Next up is Never Die season.
Never die season.
Yes.
See that this shows that you don't have the ball knowledge you claim because Never Die season is 2012-2013 San Jose. However, Houston?
Houston, of course. Benny Ball never dies.
I know, but that's just the so San Jose, and you'll learn this as we go through our MLS history segment, which if you're still listening to this, by the way, great on you. Make sure you follow because we're doing all the great historical stuff. We'll talk about that later. 2012, 2013, Goonies Never Say Die. San Jose had like 4 or 5 results in that year that they either drew or won in the 94th minute or later. It was the most insane span of games. I mean, people were just going crazy. There's a game where Steven Lenhart, who was a striker for them, had this big blonde afro. That was his hairstyle. And they did a blonde afro giveaway. And he scored the winner in like the 95th minute. He ran to the crowd and put a wig on his hair and was running around with it. Loved Earl. 2012 MLS was peak. Like nothing will ever beat it.
Cool story. We've talked about Benny Ball never dies a million times. You should have known what I was talking about. We're talking about Houston. They are 3-0-3, 7th in the Western Conference. My top player for me, Hector Herrera, because I refuse to go with Pamine Passi.
That's who I have in my top player as well. And then I have most impressive as Amine Bassi, because I knew you were going to hate it.
I've gone to Hector Herrera as most impressive. I've doubled down on the Hector Herrera. I think he's been super, super good for Houston this season. And I went with most impressive because of what we saw from him last year. I thought for sure he was just gonna flop here. I thought he was gonna come over, collect a check, didn't care. We're just gonna kind of jog around the field, Andrea Pirlo it. But no, he's crushing it so far this season. He's their top rated player easily on both sides. He's killing it for them. He's the heartbeat of this team at the moment. And I'm just not going with a guy that has 80% of his goals as penalties. I won't do it. I don't care if he has 5 goals.
I love me a pen merchant, so he's in there. But I also think that he's been something to this team that they haven't had yet, and it's just somebody who's consistently, again, the number 10 creating chances, right? So running over here to the Houston data, however you like to pronounce it. Oh, you're lagging on me a little bit. That's okay.
I didn't even say anything.
I know, but your video's lagging on me. Right. He's got 1.2 key passes a game. Hector Herrera and Carrasquilla both are also in that range. But I think the year before. Let me see if I can pull up some history data or data or data, whatever you'd like to call it. Darwin Quintero had two, Carrasquilla had one, Herrera had one, and then it fell off. Nobody was even close. So he's filled that Darwin Quintero role, and he's more central to do it. Um, and sometimes he plays out wide as well, but I think he's having more of an impact than people.
Sure. Let's move on. Least impressive player. What do you got?
Sebastian Ferreira, my guy, what are you doing? Big, massive signing. Everybody was so hyped to have you. One start, four sub appearances, 140 minutes, 0 goals, 0 assists. Now I'm not sure if he was hurt or not. I didn't do the time to check that. Let's take a quick look here. That's too many Ferreras.
I'll look. I'll look.
Sebastian Ferreira. There he is. I don't see an injury here. Considering he's got 5 appearances in 7 games, I don't see injuries in here. I don't know if he's coming back from one.
Doesn't look like it was an
Yeah.
injury.
So he goes from being a 13 goal a year guy to not even getting on the field. I mean, it's kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah, this was an easy one. I also went with Sebastian Ferreira. I thought he was going to be the guy for them. I thought that they were building the team around him, but apparently not. And he is now relegated to the bench.
Yeah.
Overachieving, underachieving, super easy one for me. I had Houston dead last in the Western Conference, 14th. They're in 7th. They're in a playoff spot. They're doing well. They look decent, I got to say. I don't think that they're just kind of riding a high. Like they look decent. They look like a team that's going to compete for the playoffs. So, yeah, overachieving for sure.
I also had them overachieving, but I had them in 9th, so they're right about where I expect them to be.
You were much higher on them than I was.
Yeah, because I know ball.
Speaking of ball, is Benny Ball working?
Yes, Benny Ball is fantastic.
Is he really Benny balling though? I feel like he's just playing a normal team, and it's just he's playing guys where they should be played, and they're being successful with it. Would you say you agree?
Yes.
So
It is it
he's not exactly Benny balling it. He's just
well, he's
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 being
brought
Ben Olsen right
he took time away from the game to redefine the Benny Ball strategy, and now
now.
he's
Okay.
brought it into
Okay.
Houston.
I got you. I got you. So Benny Ball 2.0 is a game changer. I'm here for it. I like it. Let's move on though. 2 teams left. And next we're talking about one of the most disappointing teams in this entire season.
Well, we're stuck between two, so I'm gonna go with LA.
No.
You think Austin's the most disappointing team this
I
year?
said one of.
I think that's a stretch, sir.
Is it?
I
Is
do.
it? They're sitting in well,
They're
let's
sitting in ninth.
transition here.
They're sitting
They're,
in ninth place. A game
I'm
in
sorry. Are you doing my job? I'm the host here.
a game in hand. All right, go ahead so I can yell at you because now you're pissing me off.
They're sitting in 9th place with a record of 2-1-3. Yes, they have a game in hand. If they won that game, they would jump up to 8th because
7th.
Houston also has a game in hand.
Yeah, but you're assuming Houston wins that game. And if they don't get a
All
penalty, they don't
Houston
win
needs
the
is a
game.
draw, and they would be ahead of
All
them.
Houston needs is a penalty, and they don't get those every game, do they?
They see they seemingly do get them every game. um, yes. Plus, add the CCL performance from them. They've absolutely been one of the most disappointing teams this season. We're gonna talk about that later. Top player, I've gone with John Gallagher. I think he is absolutely balled out for them this season. Way above what probably people are expected from him. I think he's been better so far than even like Juicy. I think Juicy's a better player, but I think Gallagher's been playing better this season.
Gallagher's playing in that more advanced role. They're kind of taking away his defensive responsibilities, saying, "Go have it, my guy."
Yeah,
So,
and he's had it. 3 goals, 1 assist.
yeah, he's doing well. An interesting an interesting development, sure, but I wouldn't say they're extremely disappointing. I think I'm more disappointed with Sporting KC. I think I'm more disappointed with LA, Portland, way more than I am with Austin.
You're more disappointed in the team that was 12th last year being in 14th. How about the team that
Yeah.
was in second last year
Are you
that we
kidding?
hyped up with their great offseason are in ninth and lost to a team
You
from,
you
was
had
it
them in eighth. I
England?
had them in sixth, and now they're in dead last in the entire league. That's not more
Wait,
disappointing to you?
what place did you have? Oh,
I had
yeah, because I had Austin in first and they're in ninth. What place did you have Austin in?
Austin, I had them in first as well. They're
Oh, there you go. We had them in first place. They're in ninth. They're barely in a play-in spot right now.
It's a quarter of the way through the season. They had CCL to deal with. They're going to relax.
They barely had CCL to deal with because they were extremely disappointing in CCL. That's one of the biggest CCL upsets that's happened in a long time.
Correct. But I think you're also dropping the level of what the other teams have. Haitian teams are not bad. Now, they're not Austin level. I'm not saying that they should have lost that
They're
game.
nowhere near Austin level. They
Correct.
shouldn't be.
And I'm not saying. What I'm saying is we need to give some respect as well. They played an all right game, and
Yeah, of course.
they had enough money to pay Amro Tarek for the wonderful own goal he put in there,
Top bins,
which
Amro.
eventually knocked them out. By the way,
You're in the wrong position. That's all.
I think they lost 3-2 on aggregate. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Amro
think that
Tarek
I
knocked them out.
genuinely think that goal cost them. Yeah.
Red Bull. All right, let's go.
Most impressive. I also went with John Gallagher.
Yep, that's who
He
I had
is,
as well.
yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Least impressive, probably a few different people you can go with. I went with
Do it.
Nick Lima.
Oh, boo, boring.
Nick Lima is 15th highest rated in Who Scored, and he is 16th highest rated in SofaScore. Played. He's had 2 starts, 243 minutes. This is a guy that I recently saw a clip of him when he was playing with the national team. This is a guy that was in the national team picture for at least like January camps.
I said, well, January camp isn't the national team picture. We need to relax.
Okay, fair enough. But he was
Thank you.
January camp is still usually the guys who are playing well in MLS. And
Sure.
now Nick Lima he can't even start for this team. He doesn't get any he barely plays anymore. And when he is playing, he's not doing well. I think I remembered, let me pull it up really quick. I want to say they've lost every game he started. Let me check this really quick.
While you check it, the other thing I want you to keep in mind, they are running on basically what they had one center back for a while. Cascante got hurt directly at the beginning of the season. A couple guys have picked up small knocks here and there. They're running through. I'm pretty sure Alex Ring has been playing center back more frequently than he has been in midfield.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, sure.
so we can sit here and say that they've been the most disappointing, but they've got reasons for it. It's not like they're just bad. Also,
Listen,
on a
I mean,
side
it's
note,
not like they're good players are still not playing to their level. I mean,
I said
I don't want to steal your thunder on least impressive, but
we knew Diego Fagundes was going to drop his level. He wasn't going to reach that again. We knew that. He's
sure, but
been
he's not their face. He's not the face of this team.
No, but what do you tell him? Like Druisi has been not where he used to be, but no team is going to bounce back and have just repeated 20, 20, 20, 20. It doesn't happen anymore. The other side note, Kip Keller has not made an appearance.
Yeah, not since that game.
I feel so bad.
It's all your fault. It's all your fault.
He came on when Cascante got hurt and just never went back in. He was done. My least impressive is Zardes, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the year. This guy's going to come in with all this firepower around him and all these people serving him balls. He's finally going to get service like he didn't in Colorado and LA and Columbus and blah, 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 blah. Goose egg. Just straight up goose. 4 starts, 2 sub appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists, 366 minutes. Wow, that's just disappointing.
I'm not going to fully point the blame at him. I mean,
I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying he's underwhelming.
no, I agree. You would expect more. He's an MLS vet. He's a guy that can score goals. I think I think there needs to be more help in the attack in terms of chance creation. I think it's been lacking, and if people aren't, I don't think Zardes is the type of striker that he creates his own chances. I think he needs guys around him that are going to create chances for him. And to your point, I don't think people have created the chances, and hence why you see the 0 goals, 0 assists. I don't disagree. I think your pick is totally on point. He has been disappointing, especially with how we were hyping it up in the at the start of the season. All right, let's go. Underachieving, overachieving.
Under.
Obviously, we both have them underachieving.
Yeah.
Clearly, we have different definitions of how much they are underachieving.
Correct. Ask me your question.
I
don't want to go. We just did all this. Ask me your question. I'm not doing this again.
Can they still turn this around?
Yes, of course. What do you mean, can they turn this around? Look at this roster. You're telling me that because they now are completely focused on the league and don't have to worry about Champions League, that they're just going to pretend that they don't know how to play football anymore? Stop.
I mean, they finished Champions League in March.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, in March.
And then they had a bye week. They played like 2 games since
they played 3 games. They played 3 games since they finished CCL. They lost it. They lost to Houston.
Just fold the team. 3 games since Champions League.
They drew Colorado and they lost to LAFC. They have 1 point from the 3 games since they finished CCL
against the best team in the league.
Okay.
Colorado? Is that away at Colorado or is it home?
Home.
Okay, that's not a great result. That's okay. Those things happen.
Okay, they lost to Houston too.
Away to Houston.
Okay.
That's a derby. Anything happens in the derby.
And they lost.
And they lost it. It happens.
They got shut out.
They got shut out. It happens. Direct. What is that? That's 4 days
it's happened a lot this season.
4 days after they played Violette. Stop it. What was the starting lineup tonight?
In the Houston game?
Yeah. The starting lineup had Rigoni, Yoruti playing striker, Ring playing center back.
This is majority of their starting lineup. Stuver, Vicenen.
Here's the thing: you're putting
Herrera.
emphasis on it. You're putting emphasis on a team that's playing Alex Ring at center back because that's how thin they are. That's all I'm saying. And they also went up against an LAFC team with Denny Belonga. Like, stop.
They have 2 wins this season so far. You know who they beat? Montreal and RSL.
Great, good for them.
They've been so disappointing.
You're acting like their season's over.
They're what? Wait, sorry. What did you say?
You're acting like their season's over. It's not. They've got 3/4 of a season left.
I mean, their shot at top of the West is over. They're not getting it at this point.
They will put themselves in the top 4 by the end of the season.
I disagree.
Great. I'm glad that you have an opinion. It's not valid here, but I'm glad you have one.
All right, fine.
Am I wearing what's my heart rate right now? It's got to be like 370.
It's probably through the roof. Do I need a hint for the last one? You know who we're talking about.
Let's go to the Galaxy. Let's talk about why Vanny needs to be fired.
Yeah, you said that like 3 teams ago.
Yeah, I know. That's how much I want him out.
Is that what you think my question is? You think my question's about that?
I don't know. Your questions are silly, so I don't know.
They're not silly. They're good questions.
You're silly.
You know who's silly? The LA Galaxy. Yeah. They're in 13th place. They're 0-3-3. They don't have a win either. Their top player, this was easy for me. It's Gaston Brugman.
Yep.
He's literally like the only good player on this team right now.
This was another one I went with. Who's my favorite player? Because everybody's garbage.
Yeah, is he your favorite? Like easily your favorite on Galaxy?
Oh, easily. Like if I could pick him up and place him in Red Bull right now, easily.
I'm sure every team in the league would pick him up and put him in their team.
Yeah, but like I'd take him over Ricky Puig.
Okay. Yes, I've gone for Gaston Brugman. I've gone for him as most impressive as well. I know we had high expectations for him, but
oh, boo.
I'm looking at. Okay, first of all, the Galaxy suck. So who is there really to be impressive? But I'm looking at the FBref chart again. I wish I should take a screenshot and send it to you. Brugman's chart is ridiculous. Like he is off the chart good at every asset of the game. In the attack, he's high in the percentiles. In the like passing ball control, he's in the high percentiles. In defensive work, he's in the high percent. Like it looks like a Christmas tree because all I see is green. Like he's been so good for them, and it's so disappointing that he has to play in this garbage LA Galaxy team.
Um, Most impressive is Jalen Neal, 19 years old, holding down like that picture of from Brooklyn Nine-Nine of Terry Crews like holding everybody in like these locks. That is Jalen Neal right now with the rest of this back line. He's just holding everything together. He's also got a third of this team's goals, so he does it on both sides of the ball.
Stop it. The third of the team's goals.
dude, bro, this team, it's got 2 goals from defenders. 1 goal from a striker. No, he's the only thing that I ever look forward to whenever the Galaxy come on TV. Like,
You just said Brugman's your favorite player. What do you mean he's the only thing you look forward to?
because no, not saying like the only thing I enjoy watching. I love watching Gaston Brugman play, but the improvement day after day, week after week of Jalen Neal is very, very fun to see. One of a few players who was called into the national team before he ever made an appearance at the Galaxy, by the way. Somebody who is going to be a bright star in this team, and he has been my most impressive because I wasn't sure about him when he came in, but he's doing a lot of good work in the back line.
I don't disagree.
Of course you don't, because I'm never wrong.
That's not true. You're absolutely wrong on Austin, but I'm not going down that road again. What I am going to do is I'm going to send you this chart really quick.
No, just go. We're almost done.
No, I have to send you the chart.
I don't have the time for this nonsense.
It won't post. I can't put it in here. I'll do it afterwards. Least impressive player. I've gone for one of your favorite players, Martin Cáceres. I don't understand why this guy plays week in, week out. You know what? I shouldn't have even gone for him. I should have gone for the low-hanging fruit and said Douglas Costa.
That's
why why this guy occupies the designated player spot is absolutely criminal. But I've gone for Cáceres because at least Douglas Costa is not playing. Cáceres has 500 minutes. And hold on, give me 1 second. I want to pull up his chart. Yeah, his defensive numbers are all red.
Mine, again, going with preseason predictions, is my MVP prediction, Ricky Puig.
Absolutely. You're knocking it out of the park, huh?
Bro, I'm telling you, next year I'm predicting New York City for MLS champs, New York City for MVP, attacking player of the year, defensive player of the year. Everybody's going to be a New York City player. So they fall through the floor and Red Bull are clear because this is getting ridiculous. Ricky Puig, absolutely underwhelming this year in 6 starts, 540 minutes, 0 goals, 0 assists, 3 yellow cards. I mean, you mentioned it in one of our episodes, but this is not the Ricky Puig that we expected to see. Right? This is not the player we thought we were getting. And it's all my fault. So,
listen, if it makes you feel better, I'm looking at my award list right now, and it's as if not more horrific than yours. It is really bad. My MVP pick isn't even playing because.
But I know ball, you don't. That's the issue.
I know ball. Stop it. Yeah, I went with Insigne at MVP. Hurt.
Well, he's hurt.
Yeah, Kai Wagner, DPOY. Philly completely fell off. Daniel's not even playing anymore. He was my goalkeeper of the year. Josh Wolf was my coach of the year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Our golden boot.
That makes me feel
Blake, golden glove.
I will tell you, that makes me feel so much better. My day is bang right up here.
Yeah, I had some horrific picks. Right. But one pick that wasn't so horrific, my prediction for the Galaxy.
Yeah, you were pretty good.
I had them 10th. They're 13th. Not too far off. Underachieving a little bit of what I thought. I was expecting a better Ricky Puig.
Yeah.
And if that Ricky Puig decides to show up, then I would think they can move back up into that 10th spot. But right now they look dead in the water.
I had him in 4th because Ricky Puig was going to be my MVP. Ooh. So he's let me down on both ends there. So yeah, definitely underachieving.
All right, question for you. With the impending transfer ban, Granted, it is a very light, no international transfers. Slap on the wrist. Should the Galaxy already call it a season?
No.
You think they could still pull this back?
There's one player that we haven't even mentioned yet because he's been hurt all through everything except last game. The guy who
Chicha?
Chicharito. Dude has 18 and 17 goals in the last 2 games. Like, we just talked about how hard that is to do. And he did it for 2 seasons with nobody around him. I mean, I think he has 1 game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's got 36 minutes.
Yeah, 35, 36 minutes. He's gonna make a start in the El Tráfico. I guarantee you he scores this week. Tomorrow, by the way.
Is he in the fantasy team?
No, I'm not.
Well, then not such a great guarantee.
I'm not that crazy.
Well, because you said he's gonna score, he's not gonna score now.
Great. Don't post it until it's half done. Yeah, so that's a massive thing. Joveljic has always been a better super sub. In 5 starts this season, he's only got 1 goal. Now, when you let Chicharito run him, and then put him in after that, he's fantastic. So get that back, and that'll be way better. You can still get a couple of really good American center backs as well to strengthen your back line. And again, Puig has not come up to the level that we thought he would. So give him some time. Let him get going. And again, him playing Chicharito is going to be fantastic. Just wait. It'll happen.
Okay. Considering we're done, I'm going to go off a random tangent here.
Oh, my God.
In defense of Giassi Zardes, he had a 0.9 XG. And maybe that's just because he's getting into bad spots, but he had a 0.9 XG. Joveljic has a 2.4 XG. So at least, like, Joveljic is getting chances. He's not finishing them right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up. Thanks, everybody, for listening to me scream at Connor for 2 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave us a like, follow, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'm going to put my face in the camera. Yeah, make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcast so you know the next time it goes live. Share it with your friends because we love doing this type of stuff. Next up, we're coming with more MLS history. So lots of cool things. Connor, what are the 2 that we're doing?
We are doing the 2000. Oh, boy. Warziak?
Warziak?
Is that how you say it?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Maybe it's a typo. I don't know. Last second golden goal free kick versus San Jose. Another Columbus episode, by the way.
Love it.
And Balboa's bike.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. We're going to have to do a coin toss to figure that out. But yeah, make sure you listen to that. We're going to retell all the stories of the best moments in MLS history. Love that series. Really a lot of fun. Yeah, and make sure you're following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Just search the Designated Players Podcast because you will find us. You'll find all of our clips. You'll find me yelling at Connor again. You can rewatch it over and over and over and over again. Fantastic. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.